We hope you're enjoying this Audioversity series on Rivage PM systems. We have been looking at all the component parts and all the system design possibilities. And now we have one more video before we move on to the workflow of preparing and mixing a show. So now we are looking at the different devices you can connect and help you work quickly and efficiently. Let's start by talking about screens. PM7 and PM10 consoles both have two touchscreens built in, which are of course nice to work with, but they also have a third screen connector on the rear panel. It's a DVI socket, but you could use a simple converter to HDMI if you prefer. Then choose which side of the console to mount your screen. By default, it's going to show the 12 channels on the right fader bay, but you can easily change that in the console preferences and surface settings page. See, you can choose to link it to the fader bay and a selected channel if you wish, or separate it. Now would be a good time to connect a USB mouse and keyboard to the rear panel of the console. There are 3 USB ports for such items. Now you can navigate around the screen and select any view you like, such as scene memories, plug-in effects, and level meters, for example. Use the keyboard's escape key as the equivalent of the console's view button. It will toggle between the 12-channel view and the selected channel view. And you can use user-defined keys to create bookmarks for this third screen. By the way, it's best not to use an external touch screen because the touch function will not work correctly. What's the worst thing it can do? Well, it's most likely to change what you see on the central screen instead of the external screen itself. The same happens when you connect a touchscreen to some laptop computers. By the way, some tips about using the keyboard. Obviously, it's handy for typing channel names and so on. Well, in the name list, you can use the Tab key to proceed through the list more quickly. And use Shift and Tab to move back. And when you're storing a scene, Tab will move from the scene name to the comment field. Talking of scenes, to back up all the console memories and settings, we can use a regular USB memory, like a thumb drive. Insert it either in the front of the console on the right side, or in the rear of the console out of the way. And there's full compatibility between PM3, PM5, PM7, and PM10, according to the channel count of the connected DSP engine. And the USB recording function is another handy tool. Use a standard thumb drive or a larger USB hard drive or solid-state drive to make a stereo recording, or playback WAV files or MP3 files. This includes a sample rate converter, so you're not locked to the mixer's own format. This facility can be really useful for archiving a performance or playing background music before an event starts. Now, PM5 and PM3, the consoles may not have an external screen connector, but there is another way to get an extra display. Run PM Editor on a laptop. Windows or Mac, you can choose to run it offline for pre-show preparations or online for an additional view. However, you must connect it with a network cable because Wi-Fi does not typically have enough bandwidth for all the level metering data. But you can choose to connect the computer either to the console or to the DSP engine. And here's a tip. Even if the console is not powered on, the PM Editor will still go online with the DSP and can recall scenes and control all the parameters. so it can be a very simple emergency backup in the event of a flying liquid or some other accident. Anyway, let's get connected. Make sure you use the correct network port on the DSP. It's the one by the two console sockets. And you need to give the computer an IP address within a specific range. Thankfully, the editor will remind you of this when you launch it. 192.168.53.1 to 32. And the subnet mask is the usual 255.255.255.0. Select the wired network interface of the computer and choose how many windows you want to see on the screen. Of course, select the console type and the DSP type you're going to use. Then connect. When you first go online, you'll need to choose a sync direction. Do you want to receive the data from the DSP and console, or do you want to transfer the data from the editor and overwrite the console and DSP settings? So choose carefully. If you're not sure, save the settings from the console onto a USB drive first. Once you are online, you have the same graphical user interface as the console screens, and you have the same selection of parameters to view and adjust. It will allow additional engineers to assist during a busy setup and rehearsal times. And before you shut down, you can save all the settings to your computer's memory, open the setup menu, and then save/load. Very convenient. I hope you've enjoyed learning about Rivage PM system design, and I'm sure you can understand how flexible and powerful it is. I'll be back again soon to talk you through the workflow of setting up and mixing a show. Bye for now.